Yo, 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 what's good? Let's go, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, here we are. Let's see if StreamYard doesn't mess up today. Let's see. Can we get a good stream off the bat? Let's see if they don't mess around. Let's see. I'm gonna drop a little promo and then we'll get started. Yo, yo, what's up, everybody? Happy Friday. It's Prediction Friday. You know how we do it here. I'm excited. We have a game on Sunday. It's finally getting close to the game, and it's always fun time. So let's talk about Falcons, what to expect. We'll answer questions. How's everybody doing? Val, Deb, Raphael, what's up? Hit the like button, subscribe, says Raphael. Yeah, please do that stuff. Do what you got to do. Help me out. What's up, Shades? He says, is that a Bowman jersey? Yes, it's a Bowman jersey. I had to put on the 53 today. The pick at the stick, Atlanta Falcons, 49ers. When I think of 49ers and the Falcons, I always think about the legendary pick of the stick. That was like the best play, in the last probably 2 decades of this team. That was one of the most memorable plays of the franchise. I mean, just God, what a play. The Niners had to win that game. Backs against the wall. Final game at Candlestick in the regular season. And I mean, boom, Tremaine Brock, he gets the, deflection. Navarro Bowman, right place, right time, picks it off all the way down. He runs down the sideline. Touchdown, 49ers. Navarro Bowman's going to send the Niners to the playoffs. What a moment. It was just goosebumps thinking about it every time. And, yeah, he became legendary that night for sure. And I remember before the game, Patrick Willis says, yo, let's become legendary tonight, Bo. And then after, when he picks him off the scrum, and he picks him up, he goes, that's how you become legendary, Bo. Like, that's just an amazing play. So, yeah, I had to wear the Bowman jersey tonight. Pick at the stick vibes, it's Friday, it's Atlanta, and it's 49ers. And you always got to think about that game. What a fucking game. What a way to enter the stream today, huh? That's a good way to kick things off. How's everybody feeling? Woo! Bang, bang, Niner gang. What's up, Eric? What's up, Sad Niner fan? What's up, Marcos? How are we feeling today? How's everybody doing? Let's go. What's up, Spy Nick? What's up, man? Anyways, let's get into it. We got a game against Atlanta. I kind of feel like all week I've been saying it's a trap game. It's a trap game. It kind of has that feel to me because next week we play Kansas City, and that's a huge, huge matchup. Atlanta's a good running team. They don't have Cordarrelle Patterson. He's injured, but they can still run the ball effectively. And I think with the Niners, they're banged up front. No Armstead, no Kinlaw. They're not going to be playing this week. They didn't play last week. So Kevin Givens and Hassan Ridgeway are going to really have to step up in that interior against the run. And again, also Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. Those are like the four main guys that really have to come in and clog those holes because Atlanta's a really good rushing team. That's what they do. They run the ball very well, just like the Niners. So two of the top rushing teams in the league. I feel like this game's going to go quick because these teams are going to be running the ball. Clock's going to be going, and defenses are going to be playing pretty tough. So interior, you got, like I said, Hassan Ridgeway and Kevin Givens. Those two guys have been playing pretty good. So they're going to have a big task along with the linebacking crew to kind of stuff the run. Nick Bosa's questionable officially. He was limited today in practice, and he's officially questionable. I don't know. It's probably going to be one of those game time decisions. I think they need to let Nick Bosa rest. I think they should let him sit on the bench and watch this one on the sideline as much as he probably doesn't want to, as much as we probably want him out there play, get his stats up and continue to dominate. But it's the safer thing. I think we keep him out. We're going to need him for Kansas City. We don't want to aggravate a groin injury and make it worse, right? So it is good news that he was out there to test it out. Again, George Kittle missed a few weeks with a groin injury, and that's a tough little pesky injury. We've talked about it this week. Atlanta's got some injuries too. Their major injury is Kyle Pitts. He's going to be questionable. He's a game time decision for Atlanta. So that's a big injury for them. If Kyle Pitts can't go, they're going to be really limited in their passing game and all their weapons. So, that's going to help us. overall. But Nick Bosa definitely questionable. That opens the door for Charles Omenihu, Samson Ebicam, Drake Jackson, and Kimono Toure. Like those guys are going to have to step up and play bigger minutes. Especially Charles. I think Charles Omenihu is a guy that's really going to take a big leap if Nick Bosa doesn't play. Samson Ebicam's been playing pretty well, and Drake Jackson, he's going to get a little bit more reps in the game, and that's good for a young buck if Nick Bosa doesn't go. You let Drake kind of get a little bit more exposure out there. He played nice last week, and then again, Kimono Toure. I like what I've seen out of him during the preseason. Let him get a few reps. He's an energy guy. So the turf feels God shades that says that turf is not worth it. I just wouldn't risk putting Nick Bosa in the turf. I agree with you guys. I 100%. I just don't like it. I don't want to see Nick Bosa in the turf. Can you imagine Nick Bosa goes out there and he gets hurt? We'd all be pissed. We'd all be upset. We'd be in shambles. So let's not rush it. But Atlanta does have a good offensive line. Obviously, that's why they're a good run team. They have a really, really strong defensive line too. They're a pretty underrated team. I know they're 2-3, but they've been hanging around a lot of games. I watched some of their film this week. They got some guys out there: Grady Jarrett, AJ Terrell. Man, those guys are stars on in the NFL. Two really good players. O-line is great. I think they have some offensive line injuries as well. They're dealing with injuries too, but everybody is. So it is what it is. And Marcus Mariota versus Jimmy Garoppolo. I sat here. If you would have told me that would have been the quarterback matchup about 3 months ago, I would have slapped you with the piece of spaghetti. Said you're silly. But here we are, Jimmy Garoppolo versus Marcus Mariota. I can't believe it. We'll see what happens. Marcus Mariota versus Jimmy Garoppolo. A lot of people wanted Marcus Mariota to the Niners during the offseason, and he went and signed with the Atlanta Falcons. And here we got Jimmy Garoppolo. Let's see. He played a good game last week. So Jimmy's got to continue to, manage the game well, not make mistakes, get the ball into the playmakers' hands. You got Debo, Kittle, and, Brandon Ayuk, who I feel is going to have a breakout eventually. The run game has been really nice. Aaron Banks, there was an injury report on Aaron Banks. So let's pull up what Aaron Banks, let's pull up the injury report for today, actually, and we'll kind of go over it. We said Nick Bosa's questionable. Arik Armstead, Kinlaw ruled out. And let's pull up the rest of these. Pull up all my notes here. See what questions we got. What's up, Pete? Hey, Peter Parker at Bowman jersey. You like that? Yeah, you had to wear the Bowman jersey, man. Is Samson suiting up? Shades. We're gonna get right up to all the injury reports. So let me. Here we go. So Arik Armstead is out. Javon Kinlaw is out. Emmanuel Mosley, obviously he's out. Jimmy Ward is out. Trent Williams is out. These are the questionable players: Nick Bosa, Aaron Banks with the knee, and Tyler Kroft with the knee. Everybody else should be suiting up. Samson Ebicam will be suiting up most likely. It looks like he's not on the injury report. Robbie Gould should be out there. He's not on the injury report. And the rookie running back, Ty Davis Price, wasn't on the injury report today either. So whether Kyle wants to use him or not, he can. He's not on the injury report. He returned to practice this week, so that's good. Good news, But yeah, so Samson Ebicam should be playing. The biggest news right there is Nick Bosa, right, questionable with the groin. Aaron Banks, questionable with the knee injury. That's a little worrisome to me because Aaron Banks has been our best offensive lineman this year. I'm a little worried about that, but if Aaron Banks can't go, I guess you're going to have to see Dan Brunskill out there and Spencer Burford. So instead of the rotation of Burford and Brunskill, you get Dan Brunskill and Spencer Burford starting at the guard positions. Jalen Moore will be your left tackle, Mike McGlinchey right tackle, who's been playing pretty good, and then Jake the Snake Brendel will be your center. So that's right now what we're looking at, Peter Parker, appreciate you, my man. He says he took his youngest to the game on Monday Night Football. He says, my youngest took my phone and went around the house recording herself saying, Trey Area. She's 3. I love her, man. That's awesome, man. That's amazing. I'm missing the shoulder pads. When I go suit up for game day, we'll throw the shoulder pads on. I don't think I'm going to be out there anytime soon, though. Oh, man. Marcus Mariota is fast. You know how we do against mobile quarterbacks, says Fios. That is one thing we do have to keep an eye on. Like, I know Marcus Mariota is not a world beater, but he does have speed. He's a mobile quarterback. The Niners have had trouble in the past, traditionally, against mobile quarterbacks. So it's not like Marcus Mariota's chopped liver. He could go out there and make plays. He can make plays with his legs. He could scramble. We all know that he's a guy that can, extend the plays, if he needs to. So, and again, the Falcons have a great O-line, and they've been running the ball effectively. It's not going to be an easy game. I think the Niners end up winning this game, but it's going to be a defensive game. I feel from both sides of the team are going to really bring their best foot forward on defense. So, Shylock says Jimmy G is surprising a lot of people so far. Yeah, he really is. He's playing good, man. You got to give Jimmy his credit. He's distributing the ball to the playmakers. He's not making mistakes. He's been a little bit more. He's taking more risks, and he's slinging the pill down deep. So definitely surprising a lot of people. You got to, you know what I mean, man. You just got to give him respect. If the guy's playing good, give him respect. It's not that hard. Hey, Peter Parker says Mariota ain't Russ. Hey, Russ Wilson's not looking too hot this season, so Mariota, he might be a little better than Russ right now. Score prediction. You guys dropped your score predictions. I'll give you mine at the end. Sacktown Izzy. Jimmy's going to have to make some plays on Sunday. I hope he comes through. Yeah, me too, man. There's going to be times where Jimmy's going to have to make some big plays, right? And this might be one of those games where he has to make some big plays. They got a great defensive lineman. Grady Jarrett, that guy's phenomenal. And he's going to be putting pressure on Jimmy. Let's not even lie. So Debo's going to have to be out there playing his best. The run game has to be able to play its best. I saw in the comments that earlier someone asked, is TDP active? Yeah, he's available. He's healthy. They're going to have TDP back on the roster. I don't know if they're going to use him because Tevin Coleman and Jeff Wilson Jr. have been pretty good. They've been pretty good, right? So nice to see the run game really clicking. Jeff Wilson Jr., number 8 in rushing yards in the NFL right now. He can have another big day and probably springboard up to top 5. Like, this is a guy who's running the ball very effectively. And then you sprinkle in Tevin Coleman. He's like a blast from the past, looking really good. We may not need to use TDP, although I want to see him get some reps. I want to see Mason get reps. I want to see the young guys get some reps, but we don't necessarily need them the way that Coleman and Jeff Wilson are playing right now. So Eric says Jimmy has to just limit those WTF throws. Yeah, he just can't take too many chances and make those like, oh my God, type play. Those plays where you're like, Jimmy, come on, man. You can't make those types of plays. I agree. Shade says 21-17 Niners. A Goated says 28-10 Niners. Drunk Polish. This is a good question. We're going to talk about that. That's one of the big things I want to talk about today. Hey, Peter Parker says 24-13 Niners over Falcons. I like that. Hey, Peter Parker says, most importantly with Jimmy, no bonehead turnovers. That's the key. Props to Jimmy, though. Yeah, 100%. You got to limit those mistakes. Just, play smart, play clean, and he's done that very well over the last 2 weeks, man. After the Denver game, the fiasco, stepping out of bounds, the safety, that was a blunder. He's played very smart, very safe football. You go through every week and you watch every football game. Quarterback's going to make some bad throws. They're going to make some errant passes. And Jimmy's not, any different from anybody else. If you watch quarterbacks, they're going to make weird mistakes. And Jimmy's going to do those. But he didn't make like these like boneheaded ones, like you said, hey, Peter Parker, over the last couple weeks. And he's playing at a really good level. And he's kind of getting in a rhythm. The offense is getting in a rhythm. And the offense is picking up. Last week, they scored 30 points. That was my prediction. They scored 37 total, but that was a defensive touchdown. So I was kind of close to where I was kind of figuring that this team's going to be starting to score more like 30, 20, 25, 30, 33 points. That's kind of where I feel they're at right now. And they're kind of getting in a groove. The offensive line is working. The run game's working. You get Debo the ball. You can get Ayuk the ball. You can get Kittle the ball and just spread it, They spread the ball really good last week, and that's what I think they need to continue to do. And I was impressed by how they got the ball to so many people, in the passing game. Kyle Juszczyk was getting utilized. Juwan Jennings, third down machine. Brandon Ayuk, I think he can continue to get more carries. And I feel like it's close to where Brandon Ayuk's going to break out. This week, Jimmy talked about Brandon and says, it's not an offense where we key in on one guy and we'd like to spread the ball. And that's kind of what I was just saying. And even Brandon Ayuk says, he just feels comfortable, not having really played much in the preseason. He just didn't really get into a rhythm into the last 2 weeks. So I think Brandon's kind of getting to that point. He's a slow starter, it seems like, because last year, Brandon Ayuk, beginning of the season, he didn't really get much yards. Second half of the year, he took off. So I feel like Brandon Ayuk's going to get there. He was the highest graded player on offense for the Niners last week. Great blocking. He made some big catches, and he even said, he goes, there was a play I messed up on, if I go out there and maximize my opportunities, I know I'm going to play really good. So Brandon Ayuk takes accountability of his mistakes. He knows he's still transitioning from Trey Lance to Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think that Brandon Ayuk's eventually going to break out. And I think this might be the game where Brandon Ayuk just has like a 100-yard game. I think he gets a touchdown. I think Brandon Ayuk is just going to slowly every week consistently get better and better. And Debo, I think also too, he's a bully, man. And last year when we played Atlanta, Debo Samuel just put Atlanta through a blender. I mean, he was running on him. He was catching on him. You remember the play? Knocks AJ Terrell's mouthpiece off. I mean, he was running so hard. Terrell comes at him, and he just throws the shoulder, and boom, mouthpiece flies out of the mouth. That was an incredible play. And I think Debo Samuel, the bully mentality that he has, is going to carry over, and he's going to do another big-time game against Atlanta. I feel like Debo is going to be that guy again. He's just kind of like finding his groove, and he's a star on this team. I think Debo has a big game. I think Ayuk has a nice little game. And George Kittle might have a sneaky good game. He's always played Atlanta pretty well. Atlanta's given up at least 4 catches to tight ends this season. So I think Kittle is allowed to – he might be primed for a bigger game because, again, Atlanta gives up a lot of catches to the tight ends. I was reading they let up about 4+ catches a game to tight ends. George Kittle might be the guy that comes in and has like 4, 5, 6 catches and just goes off on him because he traditionally plays Atlanta very well. So I think so. Let's get back to some of these questions. Terrence says 27-10. Will Elijah be running back one when he's healthy, or will it stay Jeff if he continues balling? Good question. I see Elijah Mitchell be eased back into the rotation. They don't want him to get hurt, and I think they'll continue to rotate Jeff Wilson Jr. and Mitchell to limit injuries. And Wilson's been earning his keep. He's been playing really good. I do have someone coming in just a second. I'm going to hit the pause button. We're going to play a little intro, and then I'm going to bring my guest in. Okay, we'll be right back after this little break.
Hey, my man. Hi.
All right, we are back, and we got a guest over here. We got my man Rohan. What's up, man? Welcome to the show. How you feeling, my man?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm good. It's Friday. We got a game on Sunday. Niners have been kind of hitting a groove. I'm feeling good, man. And I know you've been busy. You've been holding it down. Appreciate you for taking some time coming on today. Just excited for Sunday's game, man.
Yeah, no, Sunday's game is going to be an interesting one because I've said it all week. I don't think it's going to be as easy as many people think. The matchup in itself just seems to be different, and the grit as well. I think the 49ers are kind of not hitting their low, but they're hitting the injury bug. You know what I mean? You're not going to have Javon Kinlaw, no Ark Armstead. This is going to be the 3rd straight week in which both are either limited or not playing. Remember, Armstead only played in like 41% of the defensive snaps back in week 4, and then he was out, hasn't played the last 2 weeks. So none of those two. Nick Bosa is questionable. At this point, I expect Nick Bosa to play on Sunday for 2 reasons. One, going full participation today was a huge step for him to be on the practice field. That normally indicates that players are going to be 50-50, maybe a game time decision. Many people are saying, let Nick Bosa rest this week. Especially because it's on turf. You go back against the Chiefs. You're going to play at home on grass. Let Nick Bosa rest for his health. I'd say 2 things. I would not play Nick Bosa if he had a chance of re-aggravation with that injury, because when you've seen the other injuries for the 49ers, Javon Kinlaw and Ark Armstead, you've seen re-aggravation or a different injury pop up, and now that's required each player to miss multiple weeks, and we don't know the timetable for either player to return to the field. So that, in my opinion, is the biggest concern. However, if the doctors and if Nick Bosa himself deem him healthy, he's a competitor. He's going to play on Sunday regardless of whether you want him to play or not. He's going to play on Sunday. And so I think that that's the other factor. Right now, I'm expecting Nick Bosa to play, but if he doesn't, I think the 49ers are going to have an intriguing matchup against that Atlanta offense.
Yeah, Atlanta's got a pretty solid offense. They run the ball very effectively. I think they're like the number 3 rushing team in the NFL, and they don't even have Cordero Patterson. They're still running the ball at a high clip. They're got a pretty solid O line. I don't know about Nick Bosa. I kind of am on the side of let's let him rest because I don't want him to aggravate it anymore. I think the Niners have really good depth. I know Armstead and Kinlaw have been out, but man, Kevin Givens has been balling, and so has Hassan Ridgeway. They've been playing good. But this is a big test against a team that runs the ball very effectively. I like what I've seen out of Charles Omenihu. I like what I've seen out of Drake Jackson in limited reps. You know, they're going to get a little bit more action.
Yeah.
Ray might play. And then you even have Samson Ebicam, who's been playing really well. So I feel like if they have to let Nick rest this week, this is a week where, you know, these guys are going to have to step up and absorb those snaps. But, yeah, injuries are never good. I mean, I know Nick Bosa is a gamer, and he probably wants to play, man. Those groin injuries are tricky, though, Rohan. I don't know about that, man. I'm just a little worried if he goes out there and aggravates it more.
Yeah. And I mean, when you talk about the defensive line, right, Nick Bosa has been such an integral piece, been one of the best players at with his pressure rate. He's been at 24% or so this year, which is one of the top rates for an edge rusher, really an insane rate when you talk about it. And he's been such an integral piece, not only in the passing game, but also in the run, defending the run. He's one of the primary reasons that those outside runs, outside zone runs from opposing teams haven't really been able to fit. I think if you have Nick Bosa out, though, you have to understand the impact that it has on the defense. Charles Omenihu and Samson Ebukam have had great seasons thus far. Yeah. Omenihu ranging around 24, 25% as well with his pressure rate. Ebukam not far behind with the 21% pressure rate. But you have to understand, without Nick Bosa, a guy who has been consistently double-teamed this year and a guy who defenses continuously place that emphasis on, no Nick Bosa, no Ark Armstead, no Javon Kinlaw. Where is that attention going to go? It's going to go to the guys who have had success on one-on-ones, guys like Charles Omenihu and Samson Ebukam, who haven't necessarily seen double teams, haven't necessarily been accustomed to that, and it's going to be harder. Yeah, you've got space eaters in Kevin Givens. Yeah, you've got space eaters in Hassan Ridgeway, but it's going to be harder because it's a different type of scenario. Omenihu's going to face something that he hasn't faced in a while as a situational pass rusher for San Francisco. Same with a guy like Samson Ebukam. So to me, I think that that's where you might see a difference. And when you compile that with the way that Atlanta has been running a football against one of the tough defenses in Tampa Bay last week, Atlanta ran the ball 31 times for 151 yards. Those are some pretty good statistics. Ran it 151 for 151 yards. And while they were down 21-0 at that point, they've had a propensity for keeping games close this year. You look at the games that they've played, it was 27-26. I think 27-23 they won a game. 21-15 was last week. And then against the Rams, it was also a pretty close game. So when you look at it all, they have a propensity for staying in games despite probably being outmatched with their roster, and they've got a strong running game. So if you talk about a potential trap game, these are the components for a potential trap game. And to close my statement here, don't get me wrong. I expect San Francisco to win this game because I think they have a strong group, not only in the defensive line, but in the secondary with their linebackers. I expect them to win this game, but it is going to be tougher, especially if Nick Bosa doesn't play.
Yeah, no, and that's pretty much what I feel about this game. Is Atlanta's kept every game close, and that's exactly it. They may be outmatched on paper on all their games so far, but they've been in every game, and they've almost had a chance to win all their games. So it's not going to be an easy game. They're a tough matchup. Grady Jarrett, the guy's a monster. Like, he's going to be tough to beat. And you're right. Nick Bosa, if he doesn't play, that is a good point with, Omenihu and Ebicam. Now they're going to have more attention on them because before you have Nick Bosa, everybody's eyes are on Nick Bosa. So you got like free space from everybody else. So yeah, that's going to make a big difference on the Niners D line. And how are they going to play without the monster up there, Nick Bosa? But I think D'Amico Ryans will make the adjustments, and you got Mooney Ward, who's playing out of his mind. To me, the big question, okay, if Nick Bosa doesn't play, that's one thing. We just lost Emmanuel Mosley last week. Who the hell is taking quarterback 2 spot? Is it going to be Womack? Do they drop Lenore back to cornerback 2? What are your takes on it? Because this is a question that a lot of people have been asking. What do you think?
I think the 49ers, in a way, somewhat answered this question at the end of last game. When you looked at it, Emmanuel Mosley went out last week. Look at if you go back and look at the film, Deontay Lenore slid to the outside. Samuel Womack came in on the inside. So with the expectation now that Jason Verrett is out because he's going to be reevaluated on Wednesday of the following week, you're going to have those two players, I think, play an extensive role. I don't think they're going to trust Ambry Thomas with a high volume role unless it's garbage time. And Dante Johnson is the other factor. I think there are three players that are going to accustom those two roles. It'll either be Johnson or it's going to be the two players that are playing. I do think that they'll rely more on the two players that have had a little more game time this year, and that is Lenore. I think they slide him to the outside to start, and I think they'll probably start Samuel Womack in the slot. But I would not be surprised if Dante Johnson gets an elevation from the practice squad this week and joins the active roster this week and plays some key backup snaps for the 49ers in different packages, because obviously he has the versatility. Maybe you slide Tashawn Gibson in to play down the slot and you put Dante Johnson back out there. I think that they have a couple of different ways, but regardless, whoever plays out there, it is going to be clear that the Atlanta Falcons are going to target that area, potentially put Kyle Pitts in the slot to try and force some targets in that way, or potentially try and scheme Drake London open by utilizing or by targeting him against those other cornerbacks. Because when you look at the tendencies that opposing teams have had this year so far, Emmanuel Mosley, Charvarius Ward, both have been lockdown cornerbacks. They both had a very good job, and so teams have been less hesitant to target. Where have they targeted instead? The slot. Cooper Kupp, 8 in the slot, had 122 yards. Cortland Sutton operated out of the slot the week before. He had 97 yards on a day that the Denver Bronco offense was really struggling. And then last week, several receivers for the Panthers ate out of the slot. Deontay Lenore did have a little bit of a shakier performance, got beat by DJ Moore for an 18-yard gain, Shi Smith for a 31-yard gain. You have these little different chunk plays, and the 49ers have been doing good in avoiding chunk plays. Maybe it might be shorter passes. That's how it's been the first 5 weeks. Last week, there were a couple of more chunk plays than you might want to see in general, but the 49ers were able to easily put that game away. Now, it's not only the slot, though. It's the outside position, the boundary, and the slot. So the 49ers are going to have to figure out, D'Amico Ryan's going to have to figure out ways to scheme so that those two players have help on their own, which might mean keeping Charvarius Ward on the island. We'll see how they scheme it. It'll be intriguing. And Atlanta doesn't really have a strong receiver core outside of Drake London this year. It's Kyle Pitts, but Kyle Pitts has been underutilized, and Drake London. We'll see who else they use.
Yeah, and Kyle Pitts is questionable coming into the game. I still think he'll probably suit up, but I mean, he is questionable. So that's going to really determine how they're going to play this game. But Drake London's a beast, man. I like what I've seen out of the rookie. Him and Lenore are no strangers. They played against each other back in college. It's the USC-Oregon little, matchup. So I think Lenore's going to get tested a lot. He right now might be the weaker guy out of this secondary, where he's played phenomenal. But, you had Mosley out there and Mooney Ward. And it's like, pick your poison. I'm not going to throw to Mooney. I'm not going to throw to Mosley. So you're right. Teams are going to throw towards the slot. So, and I noticed that too, that when I was rewatching the game and watched the film, they did move Lenore outside to kind of take over Mosley's spot. So I think that might be where they kind of continue. And then you put Sam Womack in that nickel spot because that's where he was comfortable in preseason. Although he can kind of play outside, inside. It is going to be interesting. I didn't think about the Dante Johnson factor. That might be something they do. I wouldn't be surprised now, like you said, where they elevate him tomorrow. I could see he's a veteran. He knows pretty much every position on this team in the secondary. So I could see that. It is going to be interesting because I think Mooney's been playing so good. I don't think Atlanta is going to even want to try to throw to him. So whoever lines up at cornerback 2 is going to have a very, very busy day. They're going to be throwing to that side. Drake London's going to be going to that side. Or whoever else is out there, they're going to be really throwing to that side. Because if I'm a quarterback, I don't want to throw to Mooney Ward. I mean, he's top 3 in PBUs, man. The guy's been locked down. Why the hell would I throw to that side? So Niners are going to have to force them to throw to Mooney, but the other key is these safeties. Niners safeties have been 2 of the best, Gibson and Hufanga. I think they just have to continue to step up and really help out without Mosley there. But it's going to be a little harder test for these guys. Mosley was for sure having his best season of his career. So these younger guys are going to have to step up, and they're going to be tested a lot. Teams are really going to start picking on them. So definitely going to be interesting, especially if Bosa's not out there. You won't have as much pressure up front. Secondary might be tested, and I agree. This is going to be a closer game than many people think because, again, Atlanta's been hanging in. I don't know how they're hanging in. They're scoring what, like 24 points a game. It's crazy, man. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But I think the defensive approach is just going to be aggressive, right? The Atlanta Falcons aren't a very good passing attack.
no,
Marcus Mariota ranks amongst the last 5 yards per game, only a 57% completion percentage, and 4 touchdown to 4 interception touchdown interception ratio. Not great statistics overall for Marcus Mariota. They do thrive through the run, and so that's what you're going to expect to see, right? More so than trying to thrive through the run.
yeah, they're a run heavy team, man. And if we can at least kind of quiet that run game, I think we got him where we want him. Because you're right, Marcus Mariota, I'm not worried about him. I don't think he's going to do enough to kind of scare this defense. But if they run the ball like they've been doing, it's going to be a long game because they are very, and that's going to be a lot of work for Ridgeway and Kevin Givens out there.
Yeah, I think so. And the 49ers have done very well so far, but they are probably going from the worst offensive line that they've faced in the Carolina Panthers. And it's not only the offensive line, it's just the way that the offensive line was utilized. It was preposterous the way that I watched it. I didn't see an offensive lineman once in the run game go to the second level. Linebackers had free lanes all game long to getting into the run game. It's going to be a significantly different challenge from that game to where Atlanta plays. They play physical in the run, though, right? You've got Hufanga, you've got Gibson, both who have been pretty good in the run. And when you talk about missed tackles, Travarius Ward hasn't missed a tackle this year. Drake Greenlaw missed only one in the past 2 weeks on, I think it was like 25 or 26 attempts. That's a significant amount of tackles made without a miss. Fred Warner hasn't missed a single one in significant volume over the past 2 weeks. Tashawn Gibson hasn't missed a tackle on 15 attempts this year. There have been several players that have been really good when it comes to tackling for the 49ers, and that's been part of the reason why their run defense has been so good, because when they get opportunities, they haven't missed them.
Yeah.
I think the highest missed tackle guy is Talanoa Funka, but you take it when you understand the amount of plays that he's erased in the run game as well.
Yeah, he's just kind of roaming all over the place, and he's having that all those instincts out there. And sometimes he's dropping back to cover. He'll come back, and I'm okay with him missing tackles with players like you said, Greenlaw and Warner. I mean, they're just playing at such a high clip, especially Greenlaw, man. This guy, ever since he signed that contract extension, it's like, okay, let me show you why they paid me, man. This guy has been playing at a flat out, unbelievable level. It's been amazing to see Dre Greenlaw, man. I mean, after that first week, everybody was ripping him because remember the penalties. And after that, it's just been like best linebacker in the league. He's leading the league in
Yeah.
last couple of weeks, man. Guy's a monster. I think we're losing you, Rohan.
Got that extension. Uh-oh. Are we good?
Yeah, I think we're good now, but it's been going on. And like you were frozen. Looked like you were in a perpetual state of shock.
Okay, let me know if it messes up again, and I'll move. But yeah, Greenlaw's been good, and he's really been worth that extension so far.
Yeah, he's been absolutely money. We've talked a lot about the defense, and I know you got probably some things to do and everything, but I want to hit up on this offense, man. I feel like it kind of started to click a little last week. The offensive line was definitely hitting their blocks. Aaron Banks is questionable this week with the knee injury. To me, he's been their best offensive lineman. What do you expect moving forward with this defense against Atlanta? You think Debo's the guy? You think Ayuk's going to get his breakout game? George Kittle, obviously everybody wants to see him get going, but me and you have talked about the Kittle usage before. But what do you think this offense is going? Do you think they're going to have a big performance on Sunday against Atlanta, or do you think that they're still going to be figuring things out?
I think it's going to be an intriguing performance, and that's a very good question. Something I've talked about with this offense and with Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo, when you talk about him as a quarterback, he hasn't. It's not that he has the inability to make plays. He's shown on several occasions that he has the ability to make plays. The problem is, can he do it consistently? He hasn't in his entirety of his 5-year career. That's been the main issue with Jimmy Garoppolo, and you can point it down to a simple statistic that I've been saying all week. He hasn't thrown. He hasn't gone 3 games without throwing an interception in his career, and that to me is just the epitome of inconsistency. But if he can continue to play the way that he played this Sunday, then the 49ers offense can get in a rhythm, can get in a roll, and they can start to really potentially reach the potential that they have, because they scored 30 points this past weekend, and yet they still left opportunities on the board. It's crazy how this offense could really be one of the better offenses in the NFL if they were able to capitalize on the opportunities, but also be consistent. That
Yeah.
hasn't been the case, be it the offensive line play, the running game, or Jimmy Garoppolo himself, or the play calling. It's been one of those four factors that mixes up, and really all four factors need to be in semblance if they're going to be consistent. That hasn't been seen on a week-to-week basis really over the past few seasons, even though we've seen great runs. If they can show to do that, then I think that they're in good shape against Atlanta, because last week everything was clicking on all cylinders. They scored 30 points against a fairly respectable defense. I think Deebo Samuel, you continue to use him, right? He's a weapon. You use him in any way possible. I'd like to see him line up out of the backfield a little more. I think that that's a place where they can utilize him better, because they line him up against linebackers. Him and his athletic profile are just no match for linebackers or safeties. You line him up against there, you get him a good package while potentially also selling the threat of the run. I think that that even is important. But to me, I think the 49ers overall should continue to do what you said earlier in the stream. Spread the ball around. You have several playmakers. Don't lock onto one target. Make it predictable again for opposing defenses, and then give yourself the opportunity to have those missed opportunities. I think Ayuk has to be involved, be it in the screen game, be it in on those quick routes that he's allowed to use yards after the catch. You know, him and Garoppolo's play styles don't necessarily correlate as well with each other, but there are certain things that them two can do together. In that yards after the catch game, you got to get him involved. He had 58 yards last week. Get him some more targets. Continue to build that. With Samuel, make sure those targets are like well utilized. He had a drop, and then he had a near touchdown. You got to make sure you don't overutilize him, but also utilize him efficiently so that he can reach the maximum of his potential, really, when you get him those touches. I think it's important to get him touches. George Kittle as well. I think it's important to get him touches. But if I'm being honest, I do not care with the way that George Kittle's been utilized. I think the 49ers have, if the 49ers use George Kittle in the way that the Chiefs use Travis Kelce, this offense would honestly take a step back, because of the amount of playmakers that they have on this offense. George Kittle isn't going to see the ball, and his quarterback doesn't always throw him the ball. And so if you're taking away his efforts in the pass, not in the passing attack, but in the running game, he's a damn good run blocker.
Oh, good.
Without him, this running game does not reach the ceiling that this running game reaches. You don't understand how important it is for tight ends to block in this offense. And so I think you need to keep using him in the role that he is, but get him targets when he's running those routes like you did last week. The fumbles will happen. They happen once or twice a year. That's a normal George Kittle thing. But continue to get him involved and continue to really press over that middle of the defense. That opens up different avenues. So I think utilize everybody that's given to you, but also create a balance between the pass and the run so it keeps defenses thinking.
Yeah, I agree 100% with what you said. And you're right. With Kittle, it's if you watch him in that run game, man, God, he just opens up like holes like it's freaking Moses parting the Red Sea. And it's like you take that away, Jeff Wilson Jr. is not going to have a career day. Tevin Coleman's not going to go off like he did in 2019 all over again. Like that's what he does. And it's unfortunate because, yeah, fantasy-wise, you're like, I want to see Kittle eat, man. I want to see him get these stuff. But he did get a good enough, carries, right, or catches last week. He's still being eased in. He's coming off the groin injury. Eventually, there's going to be one of those big George Kittle games here, you're like, oh my God. They just don't use him like that because you're right. There are so many offensive players, so many weapons that you have to spread the ball. Because in this offense, if you just go to one guy, and Jimmy said it this week, he goes, our offense is not just about keying in on one guy. Because you're right. If you just key on one guy, it does take a step back because Deebo needs his carries. I mean, he's getting $71 million a year. Brandon Ayuk, you want him to get his carries. So you have to spread the wealth around. That's the one problem of having so many good players. They're not always going to have like a huge game, but that's the thing. And I think as long as the Niners continue to spread the ball, keep defenses guessing, and then continue to pepper in that run game and block well with George Kittle, it's going to be effective offense. Like this offense, you're right. They scored 30 points, and I felt like they could have scored 50 last week. It was crazy because they did miss opportunity. There's a few little things that here and there they were off. And this offense is so complicated. It's all about the execution. And you have to be sometimes almost perfect And that's why Kyle Shanahan's such a stickler about practice. Because if you're not hitting it right in practice, you ain't gonna hit it right in the game session. So it's 100% all about execution on this offense. It's a complicated offense, but I think they're going in the right direction. They scored 30 points last week. I know it was against the Panthers,
Yeah.
but 30 is a lot better than what they've been doing the last couple weeks. So I am very optimistic. I think the Niners are going to score another at least 30 points this week. My prediction.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped up on this team, man. I'm really feeling this can be an offensive.
I think what my prediction was yesterday was 24-13. What's yours?
What did you say yours was?
24-13.
24-13. That's a nice score. I got 33-13.
Okay. Okay.
I think this offense is going to be clicking tomorrow on Sunday. I feel like the run game's been hitting. Jeff Wilson Jr. has been running really well. I think Kittle's going to get about 5 catches. Atlanta lets up at least 4 a game to a tight end. I think Debo's going to be, running all over the place. They're going to find a way to get him the ball. I think Ayuk has a nice game. I just see 33-13 Niners. So.
All right. That's a bold prediction.
I know it sounds like, it's a beatdown. It's going to be a close game, and the Niners eventually by the third, fourth quarter
just pull away at the end. Yeah.
Pull away at the end, get some turnovers, and that's going to be the difference. So get some big turnovers and put them in position, and the Niners just kind of walk it right in. So we'll see.
Yeah, that makes sense. And before I leave, because of that bold prediction, I want to talk about one specific matchup where the Falcons might have an advantage. Kind of get your thoughts on it. So last week against the Panthers obviously got dominated. But one matchup where they really excelled, defensive tackle versus center.
Yeah.
Derrick Brown was phenomenal last week in the just in terms of against Jake Brendel, consistently pushing Jake Brendel aside, just really exerting his force.
Yeah.
49ers play a defensive tackle that is better than Derrick Brown this week in Grady Jarrett, who's been very good this year. He's had one of the better years of his career thus far, at least one of the better starts. What are you thinking about that matchup?
And that's what I said earlier. I said Jarrett's a monster, and he's going to be the guy that I feel like the Niners really have to look into. And I think that's why they need to keep utilizing Kittle and Juszczyk out on that line to help block, extra guy out there. And if Aaron Banks isn't playing, that's going to put a lot of pressure out there on Jake Brendel. But I think the silver lining is the Niners do have a guy, Dan Brunskill, who if Aaron Banks doesn't play, he could slide in, and he could kind of come in and really help Jake on that side and kind of give him an extra, hand out there. So it is interesting. I think that's going to be the big matchup for the Niners. And if we can't neutralize Grady Jarrett, it's going to be a long day for Garoppolo because that's going to make him, under duress, getting pressure up the middle. And that's not what we want for Jimmy. He needs to get his the ball quick out. But when he's under pressure, that's when he starts making those mistakes. And a Jimmy that, like you said, if he plays like he's been playing the last 2 weeks, no mistakes, getting the ball out quick, making smart decisions, then we're going to win. But if he's under pressure, it might be a long night for Jimmy. So I really hope they can neutralize him. I haven't been too impressed with Jake Brendel. He's been up and down. He's been kind of like some days.
Yeah, up and down is a good way to describe it.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, hey, that was nice. And then I'm like, oh, man, that was bad. So that, to me, of this O-line, it probably is the weakest link right now. But it's going to be that is honestly the toughest matchup that the Niners are going to have to deal with. So I am a little worried right there because Jarrett is having a fantastic start to his season right now.
Yeah, Grady Jarrett's good in the run and the pass. He's obviously a dominant force there. And he, when you saw the amount of plays that Derrick Brown broke up, when I talk about missed opportunities, a good amount of them were in the run game on some of those runs with Jeff Wilson Jr. in between the center and the guard or in between the guard and the tackle, where it was blown up because Derrick Brown was able to get off of Jake Brendel and get to the guy. Yeah, he was able to get him before Jeff Wilson Jr. hit the hole, and that's where the play really dissolved. And so to me, I think the counter to it, you're going to see a little more of the outside zone. Get Jarrett in different places this week and try and get him moving a lot more because then it's going to be a little more unpredictable as to where the 49ers can run. And so when they implement that inside zone, it will be a little more free-flowing. That's kind of my I'd say, solution for it right now. Jack had brought that up as well. I agree with him on that solution because that's a way to kind of neutralize his momentum. And then, in the passing game, quick passing attack as always. You got to get it out quick. Maybe some screens.
Mm-hmm.
Force the Atlanta defensive backs to be able to tackle well against these blockers.
Yep. And that's why I said with Debo, I think he's going to be moving around a lot, motion, get him those little quick dump offs, little quick slant, little wide receiver screen. And I think Ayuk, too, utilize him the same way. If you can get a ball out quick to those guys, let them use their yak ability, I think that'll neutralize it. Because you're right, with a guy like that, you want to run away from him. Because the big runs last week, if you remember, Jeff Wilson, just outside runs, outside zone runs, that's how they were effective. Like that big run in the first quarter, that was outside zone run. If you're going to try to go up against this guy, man, he's going to eat it up. And that's going to be a problem for you. So, yeah, he's a monster. So I think the Niners, knowing that he's so good inside, that they're going to have to kind of you're going to have to run away from him. Bottom line is, you don't want to go right to him. You want to go away from him. Make him chase you. Don't chase him,
Yeah, and one other thing that I'll say about the running game, something I've been impressed by Kyle Shanahan, he's made one big adjustment with Jimmy Garoppolo and instead of Trey Lance. With Trey Lance, the run game was flourishing. You saw, if you see the statistics, not including the Panthers game, the run game was flourishing with Trey Lance, and then it really kind of faltered a little bit with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm, at least for the first couple of weeks. The last 2 weeks, though, against the Rams and then against the Panthers, he's incorporated this sort of counter route where they fake an outside zone, fake using their Zorro concept, and either it's a wham, it's a trap, it's some form of run back to the inside. It's a cutback route for Jeff Wilson Jr. that really creates a misdirection and kind of confuses the defensive line. That could be a concept the 49ers use again and with good volume in this game, because it keeps them guessing. Is it going to be a real outside zone, or is it going to be a cutback? That creates a second of hesitation, allows the blocks to form, and gets you a couple of extra yards on plays.
That's smart. Yeah, I mean, because you're right. Because at the end of the day, you want Atlanta guessing, and if they guess wrong, that's when you break it out for a massive run, and that's when the Niners have been kind of hitting their mark the last couple of weeks. And I remember I was listening to Jeff Wilson. He goes, "That's pretty much what it is." He goes, "We were just trying to, stack the box, and when they had certain personnel in a way, and we saw a certain look, we just took it to the outside." And that's exactly what the Niners need to do, is just kind of keep the Falcons on their toes. Run it to the outside, run it to the inside, mix it up. But you're right, you got to be wareful of that middle, because Brendel's going to have his hands full. But if they can kind of mix it up and keep them on their toes, and if Jimmy can effectively get the ball out to his playmakers, again, that's why I think we can score at least 30 points, because I feel like they have been kind of figuring that kind of stuff out lately. So it's going to be fun, though. It's going to be interesting. I think we lost them. We might have lost them, man. Let's see. We got a small circle. He might be dead for the day. That's it. That's my man, Rohan. Appreciate him for hopping on. Always good insight from Rohan. But, let's go back to a couple more questions. We'll get to a few more, and we'll end the show up. And give me about another 10, 15 minutes. We'll answer your questions. But hopping on. Let's see. Wait a second. I think he's back. There he is. He's back from the dead.
There.
Let's see. Where is he at? There he is. What's up, Rohan?
All right. Is it working?
Yeah, a little bit. I thought we lost you for a minute.
Yeah, I thought so too. But I think we're back to being good here.
Okay.
But you were talking about Jeff Wilson Jr.
Yeah, no.
And his impact, obviously, with some of those runs.
What was that?
You were talking.
We lost him again. Rohan, man. You get on that good Wi-Fi, my man. Appreciate you, John. Jeff Wilson and TDP will do great. Sacktown Izzy says, don't sleep on Coleman. Yeah, I think Rohan's connection's acting up. Unfortunately, we'll have to take him out. There it is. That was the end of Rohan. His connection's acting up. Got to send that man a better Wi-Fi. I'm going to have to hook him up one of these days. You got to get off that McDonald's Wi-Fi, but I get it. College student. I remember those days. Let's get into the questions before we finish off. My man, John V. What's up? All love, my guy. Glad that you're here with me, too. Eric O says, what's up with gold? This is a great question. Let's get to this. This is one of the last few questions we'll take. So Robbie Gould was cleared, according to Matt Mayoko. He came out, practiced, he was cleared to play. Now, I don't know if he's going to play, but he has been cleared to play. He wasn't on the injured list. They did sign a kicker this week, just in case Robbie's not able to go. He did have a knee contusion. He got blown up. He got blown up on Sunday, but it looks like Robbie Gould will play on Sunday, according to the injury report. He's not on it, so if you're not in an injury report, I wouldn't suspect you not to play. So that's the way I'm looking at it. Let's get into a couple more things. Rohan, on that Levi Stadium Wi-Fi. Yeah, that Levi Stadium Wi-Fi is no joke. I literally hate it because I'll be trying to post content. You know me, I gotta post the content while I'm at the game, bro. I'm sitting there and the little damn line posting. Like I'm on Instagram. I'm like 5 plays behind. I'm like, and it sucks because you want to try to keep up to keep your posts up and keep the highlights going. When you run a page like the sports media page, you got to be on it quick, right? 5 plays later, you missed like 2 touchdowns, and your touchdown from like 2 quarters finally posted. It's the worst. That Levi's Stadium Wi-Fi is horrible. For as expensive as that stadium is, the Wi-Fi should be a lot better. That's all I got to say. Dallas Stadium, when I was at Dallas for the playoff game, their Wi-Fi was like crystal clear. It was like smooth like butter, man. It was amazing. But anyways, I digress. My man 49ers Raj says, who's your defensive player of the game? I got Fred Warner getting a pick 6. That's a good question. I think Fred Warner definitely could have a big game. He's been close to a few interceptions. I think Fred Warner's played at a very high level lately. He's ragging up the tackles. Dre Greenlaw, man. I think Dre Greenlaw might be the player of the game. Like, this guy has been playing flat out high, crazy. Like, the man has been on a tackling machine. I think in 3 games, of the last 3 games, he's got, 36 tackles. There was a game where he had 15 tackles in a game. I think that Dre Greenlaw is going to be the defensive player of this game. I don't know. I just have this monster feeling. I have this feeling that Dre Greenlaw is going to go monster mode, monster mash, and just go crazy because, it's a run-heavy team with Atlanta, and I think the linebackers, Fred Warner included, and Dre Greenlaw are going to go crazy, but I think Greenlaw is going to be the guy that has the big game, the big play. I don't know. I just feel like Dre Greenlaw game coming up. And Talanoa Hufanga, because, since Atlanta is a good run game, I think Hufanga is going to kind of step up in the box. He's going to play outside. He's going to help with coverage. The guy's been everywhere. And then Mooney Ward, man. Yo, if they're going to try to throw Drake London out against Mooney Ward, it might be a big day for Big Mooney, baby. Earning that check, man. Did you guys listen to Mooney Ward's press conference yesterday? If you haven't, go check it out. The guy's he's so happy to be with the Niners. And they asked him, they said, this was a good question. I think Grant asked him. He goes, so how come it didn't work out in Kansas City? And he goes, was it about the money? He goes, they didn't have the bag, though. He just straight up said, he goes, Kansas City just didn't have the bag, though. He goes, the Niners wanted to pay me a lot of money, so I'm not going to turn that down. Shout out to Mooney Ward, man. He knows. He goes, look, Kansas City wasn't about to pay him, and he took the money from San Francisco, and he's earning it, man. He's money well spent. They paid him a lot of money. And he goes, they said, do you think that they wanted you to be CB1? He goes, I mean, they paid me that way, so it feels that way. Yeah, he's so funny. He was a good interview. Check out Mooney Ward's interview if you have it on his press conference from yesterday. But it was good stuff. He was just like, they didn't have the bag, though. It was funny how he said it. That's a good one. Whoever shuts down London is the X Factor, says John. Yo, 100%. Whoever shuts down London, because that's their big guy right now, especially if I can't think of the Kyle Pitts isn't playing. He's questionable. If Kyle Pitts doesn't play, whoever stops Drake London is going to be the big time, the X Factor. 100%, I agree. But I'm going to go with the linebacker, Drake Greenlaw, because right now I got the linebacker jersey on. I got the Bowman jersey on. I got to rep the linebackers today. Fred Warner, Drake Greenlaw. I think one of those two guys has a monster game. Pick 6? What if we get a pick 6 to end the game? Like the pick at the stick. Remember that game? Oh, man, I still can't think about that guy. I rewatched that game the other night. Because I was like feeling like dog water all week. I don't know if you guys know. Some of you guys do, but I was so sick this week. So what did I do the other night? I was like, fuck, let me just watch like old Niner games. And I threw on the pick at the stick. I always try to like watch like an old game when it's like the week of a new, like every week I try to watch like a throwback game of the upcoming opponent. So this week I was like, shit, let me just watch the pick and stick game. And I was like, oh my God. And then just that play, just watching it all over again, you just get the chills. You're like, oh my God, what a play. Navarro Bowman sends the Niners to the play. Like, that season was so amazing. But I definitely had to watch that game. Made me feel a little better. So, oh man, let's see. Ruthless says Talanoa and Drake, former teammates, going at it is gonna be special. Yo, I like the USC connection there. Having Talanoa and Drake Jackson, the USC boys, it's nice to see. It's nice to see. Or former teammates, when they played together in the NFL, they got that vibe, that little connection going. So I do want to see Drake Jackson have a big week if Nick Bosa doesn't play this week. Let the young buck cook. Let him get some reps. Let him get some snaps, man. It'd be nice to see Drake Jackson kind of have a bigger game. I think someone tweeted, I can't remember. I think it was Sterling Bennett from 49er Access. There was a stat. So right now, Aiden Hutchinson leads all rookies with sacks. He has 3. Okay, all rookies with sacks. He has 3. Okay, Drake Jackson has 2, and there's a big discrepancy in snaps. It was like 100 and something different snaps. It's crazy how many more snaps that Aiden Hutchinson has had compared to Drake Jackson and their stats. It's crazy. Drake Jackson, man, he's making the most of his opportunities in a short amount of time. Drake Jackson's really picking up the game. So good to see, man. This is going to be a young stud, a young star in the rise, eventually as Drake Jackson continues to find his footing in this league, as he continues to figure out the game, and as the game slows down for him, and the more Chris Kasurik really works with him, the guy is going to be a star, man. I can't believe we drafted this guy in the 2nd round. It's scary. He could probably be the best defensive lineman or defensive end to come out of this draft, and he wasn't even 1st round pick. Such a good player, man. Shout out from New Zealand, baby. Yo, what's good? New Zealand in the house, baby. Woo, that's way out there. Way out there, man. Shout out to New Zealand, man. New Zealand Niner faithful. Let's go. Slick Drake London. Oh, Talanoa and Drake London. Well, yeah, they were former teammates too at USC. That's going to be a little bit of a matchup too. I was talking about Drake Jackson being a former USC teammate of his, but Drake London being a former teammate of Talanoa, that's going to be a matchup right there in itself too. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. 100%, man. Drake London, Talanoa Hufanga, USC boys, be a little fun, a little reunion. There's going to be a little jersey swap. Prediction right here. My prediction, jersey swap at the end of the game. You're going to see Drake Jackson, Talanoa Hufanga, and Drake London, the USC boys, jersey swap. That's the prediction right there. Right there. That's going to be the coldest Drake's jersey swap of the week. That's going to be the dope one. Last year was Cordarrelle Patterson and Debo. Cordarrelle Patterson is not playing this week. So the coolest jersey swap is going to be the USC connection. It's going to be Drake London, Drake Jackson, and Talanoa Hufanga. You might see Lenore get in that because he's the Pac-12 guy, Oregon boy. They might not want to keep the Oregon boy in there. So they might say, nah, get out of the pick. But those USC boys are going to be taking a jersey swap, 100%. Where's New Zealand? Yeah, it's next to Australia. New Zealand is in the future. Crazy. Any last questions? Drop your comments in the chat, and then afterwards, put your predictions on there. Let me know what you guys think about the score. I think the game's going to be 33-13, like I told Rohan. I just have this vibe that the Niners are going to score another 30 points, and it's going to be looking nice. And the offense is going to be clicking. It's not going to be pretty initially. I think it's going to be a defensive battle. I think that it's going to be a hard fight. It's going to be like 17-10, 17-10, and then 17-13. And then, boom, the Niners are going to make this big play on defense, and then they're going to scrape it open. And I think that it becomes 33-13 to finish the game. Maybe 33-17, but I really trust this defense not to let up too many points. 33-13 Niners by the end of the game. We're 4-2, first place, going in to Kansas City next week. Bang, bang. Niner gang. What's up, Ann Ford? How you doing? Whew. It's like the 16th there. Yeah, John, that's like India. Their time zone is like 15 hours ahead. 16. It's like crazy. So when I talk to family, it's like then it's like the future. So it's the same thing. Australia, India, they're like in the future. So it's crazy. They're always a day ahead. They're gonna the world's gonna end for them before it ends for us. So I'm gonna stay living in America. That's the way I look at it. Niner fan says, where did my love for the Niners start? Since I was a kid, I was raised as a Niner fan. My dad was a huge Niner fan. So growing up, I had no choice. It was basically be a Niner fan or get the hell out of the house, basically. And that's how I was raised, man. My dad said, Niners all day, baby. That's how it was. My dad was a huge fan, raised me, and in our neighborhood back in the '90s. I grew up in the early '90s. I was born in the '80s, but grew up really in the '90s. And all my friends, it was back in those days, it was Niners, Cowboys. Those were the two teams. You drew a line in the sand, and you picked your side. You're either with the Niner fan or you were with the Cowboys fan. And I stuck with the Niners boys because that was a rivalry, man. I remember every Sunday we'd come out, we'd go to the schoolyard or we'd go to the big blacktop or wherever. We had this big grass field in our complex, and we'd play football all day, waiting for that Niners. If Niners and Cowboys would play, I mean, we played football every weekend. But I remember just like when that game would come on, when it was the Niners Cowboys, well, like we'd be hitting each other harder, and then we'd all kind of get together and we'd watch the games together, and it was a rivalry, man. And then every Sunday after the games, when the Niners won, we'd come out talk our trash. With the Cowboys won, they'd come talk our trash, and then we'd end up playing like at a night game or whatever, and we'd go battle it out. So ever since I was a kid, I was a huge Niner fan. So it was fun, man. It was good stuff. It was good times, man. Those were good days, being a kid and just going out there playing football. And since I had a heart problem, so I didn't want to I couldn't get tackled too much, So I was always all-time quarterback. That was fun. That was fun times. I tried to I thought I was like Steve Young, the mobile quarterback, and Randall Cunningham. He was a Vegas hero. So I used to like to run with the ball and look for receivers and throw it. I thought I was Steve Young, but definitely wasn't. That's how it was. So, anyways, I think that'll do it for today. Hope you guys have had a great day. I hope you guys have a good weekend. Friday, we got 2 more days till game day. I appreciate the support. Love you so much. Put your predictions in the comments. I love you. I hope you watched the stream. If you haven't today and you're coming back to watch this, I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope the people that were watching the stream enjoyed the stream. Shout out to my man Rohan. Thanks for hopping on. We got to get him some new Wi-Fi. Maybe I'll go live a little later tonight. We'll see what the quad box is doing. We're so busy. Everybody's so busy. Too busy for your boy. But, I got to keep doing what I got to do. I love you guys. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend. Have some fun this weekend. Have some fun on Saturday. I try to have fun on Saturdays when I can. Live your life. Saturday, tomorrow, I'm going to Gilroy Gardens. They got it decked out in Halloween, like Halloween Fright Fest or whatever it is. I'm going to take my daughter there. So that's what I'm going to be doing Saturday. I love you. Have a good one. And you don't want me for quarterback, trust me. Too much work to do. I work a little bit in the morning and then I go enjoy myself. But appreciate you. Have a good one. Bang, bang. Not again.